What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Saturday, November 23rd. Tonight, we've got AEW, I believe, right? Full Gear. Could not be more excited for that. But before, we got to break down SmackDown as we do on every Saturday. I have got a sweet crew hanging out with me. It's only been like 12 hours, basically, since I've seen Megan, but I'm going to send it out to New York and introduce Megan. It has not been long. How are you?
No, it hasn't. I'm doing well. Happy Full Gear Day. Everybody is on the other side of the Hudson River from me. I wish I could have been there, but I'm gonna watch it from the comfort of my home and hope that Orange wins.
Absolutely. Let's go Orange today. No question about it. Save AEW and make sure you make the right jeans choice. That's all I'm saying. Up next, though, we've got a good friend of mine, Jordy. How are you on this fine Saturday?
I am great, mate. I'm great. I'm back reviewing SmackDown. It's been a while since I've reviewed SmackDown, and what a hell of an episode it was. Seriously, it's one of the better episodes of SmackDown that I think I've seen in a few weeks. There's plenty of points to talk about, plenty of points to discuss. Chelsea Green won. What's not to like? Do you know what I mean? So I'm happy to be here and talk about it.
Absolutely. What is not to like? And speaking of things to like, let's get into our first topic because if you know me, I loved one thing in particular about this, and that was Kevin Owens' shirt choice. It's been a fashion heavy week for me here on the Daily. How do you not laugh at a tuxedo t-shirt? And when he dropped the line, you didn't even wear your stupid suit. I laughed my face off. I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, finally, somebody made a good suits joke. It was perfect. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a great segment. I can't wait for the match. This is going to be a war anytime you get Cody and Kevin involved in any segment, let alone facing off against each other and then a match down the road. It's exciting. They're two of the absolute best in WWE, jokes aside, when it comes to Cody's choice of fashion. But let's get into this segment. Let's talk about it. How did you like it last night, Megan? What are your thoughts coming out of it? Do you think there's any chance Kevin takes the belt off Cody? That's my last question. Sorry.
Oh, no, I don't. I don't think that is going to happen for him. Not no time soon. But I did like the promo. I like the promo a lot. I always thought Cody was good on the microphone, and I think he definitely pulled a lot of emotions last night. But I think the most exciting part for me, because I've really been pushing for Cody to turn heel, was his backstage feud with Carmelo. I mean, he tried to push Carmelo to hell last night, and I really think people take Cody's kindness as a sign of weakness. And I think we've seen that with Kevin. We've seen that with Roman. We've seen that with the bloodline. Anybody, even Gunther, anybody that Cody has had a run-in with always make reference to his soft spot. Whether it's his father, whether it's the politician polished look that he wears, whether he's always just trying to be on everyone's good side. And to me, I think that's a person that you should be fearful of the most, because that means that there is another side of them that they are keeping at bay, that they are trying to keep at the surface level. And um, I saw a side of Cody last night, like I said, that I've been really pushing for. So, do I think Kevin have a chance of taking the title off of Cody? No, because I still think they're going to want that one up between Cody and The Rock at some
Yeah.
point. So, um, Kevin had his chance at getting the title. He had a chance. He got a free title shot. He didn't even have to fight for it. He got a
It's
free
true.
title shot because the champion is his friend. And he didn't take advantage of it, like Cody mentioned. Like, you saw my knee was out of commission and you fumbled the ball. You missed an opportunity of taking the belt. So whose fault is that? But yeah, I really enjoyed that segment, and I'm waiting for Randy to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. Would love to see Orton back anytime soon. I think you made a great point there, though, about Cody in the possible heel turn. I love the direction they're going with. It's like slowly but surely. It's nothing major, but
No,
little things are starting to bug him more than
yes,
you would have expected
Mhm.
previously. It's just like tiny little things that normally wouldn't get under his skin. You can just tell, and you can see it in facial expressions. Like it's organic, and I really enjoy it
yeah. I
because
think, yeah, it's a lot about being the champion, being the top dog, being that top guy, and because he has fought to be that person for so long, because his father wasn't, because his brother wasn't. He's still not getting the due respect that he feels he deserves. And yeah, I mean, anybody that would get under anybody's skin. But it's been a facade for Cody for a
yeah,
while, and now you starting to see it's starting to wear off on him.
and I like that you can really for quite some time until eventually the turn does happen. You can have Cody, and I think he'll be great at this, toe the line and
Mhm.
tease
Yeah,
and not quite and go almost not go back and forth, but right, like dip his toes in the water. You think it's going to happen now. Oop, not yet. Pull back. He's the good guy again, right? And that sort of like will he, won't he? I think in the long run is going to make the story even better, and that I really appreciate. I will be stoked. I like to joke about Cody Rhodes and the tie clips and the suits and all of that, but he is incredibly talented without question. And a heel Cody Rhodes, I'm definitely excited about. That's something I'm looking
yeah,
forward to just for a change of pace, especially because if you think about his AEW run, it was teased there, right?
hmm
This goes back to then too, when he dyed the hair for the rematch against Brody Lee, right? Like, just, I mean, uh, that was maybe he's gonna, no, not yet. And how he always came out of the middle, not the heel tunnel or the babyface tunnel. That was always fascinating to me compared to everybody
yeah,
else in the company. And just little things like that over the years make this even more fun to me. And I really do appreciate it. Also, I got to give Kevin Owens credit though. He can cut a promo as a heel or a babyface and do whatever he wants, and it's entertaining. And it does blow me
absolutely.
away how quickly he's gone from being a great face all year long to just like an absolute full on full force heel is so impressive to me. He's the ultimate like utility plug and play type of a superstar because you can basically ask him to do anything and he can
Right.
as a character. It's pretty impressive. And Jordy, I got to get your thoughts before we do move on, of course, on the same thing. Cody's out here. When do you think we're maybe getting Homelander Cody, if ever?
I've mentioned Homelander Cody quite a lot on this, and I've mentioned that if they are going to do it, there isn't a better butcher than Kevin Owens. I stand by that, just aesthetically, how KO is. But I think you touched on something that is very important there, Megan, with Cody and the character of Cody Rhodes and the way we see him in WWE. I think you're right. I think people see his kindness for weakness. I think people see his emotion for weakness. And I think he wasn't that long ago that he said that we're proud to be passionate. We're proud to be a bit of a messy king. Like they call us Cody Crybabies for a reason. And I think you're right. Last night was great. Why wasn't he wearing the suit? I don't know. There's so many questions that start to lean you towards this heel turn. But as amazing as KO and Cody was in the exchange, what Cody's doing and what is a perfect way that it's like people could perceive you as a heel for sure if you do this in real life, but you don't see yourself as a heel. He's taken the moral high ground. That's what he's done. He's said, no, Kevin, I'm not doing this for you. I know what's better for you than you do. Like, nobody likes hearing that, especially not Kevin Owens. And that is going to divide people. That is going to give the people that wanted to kind of Cody to drop the belt since Mania, because there are people out there, it gives them something to jump on and something to really like honed down on, but within the storyline. And what I was going to say was almost more important than what happened between Kevin and Cody was the fact that Carmelo said, "I'm just letting you know that's what people are saying," because then it's like, okay, this isn't a Kevin problem. This isn't just Kevin that thinks this. This sounds like it could potentially be a Cody problem. And to see him then go down that potential route like a Homelander, kind of saying, you guys don't deserve me. I'm so much better than all of you, and you don't even deserve to have me leading this company. Like, to have that kind of arrogance, I think he could play it well. I don't know when they'll pull the trigger, if ever, like you say, but because there is that thing as well, and it's easy for me to kind of get caught up in that. But then you see the live tour clips of Cody getting the kids out over the barrier, and then you do lose that. It's not to say that won't come back somewhere down the line, but maybe not. Maybe you don't have to lose that if he's playing this kind of almost politician-like character, because he can play the heel by being the biggest, cringiest babyface possible that'll just annoy everyone and get him booed, even though he doesn't actually have to say he's done it. And I know he likes that. He spoke about that at AEW, and that's what he was kind of doing there. And when he spoke about it since leaving, if he said, "Did you heel turn?" He's like, "Well, no, not by title, but I mean, I was getting booed every week, and I knew what I was doing by getting booed every week." So it's a tricky one. But yeah, this was for the first time, and this is also what's important. I was looking forward to the Cody Rhodes segment more than I was looking forward to the Bloodline segment. And he deserves that as a champion, I think. So
that is a fascinating point, but also what you just brought up there is brilliant, Jordy. I had not thought of that. The idea of he baby faces you so hard that it's annoying. And
even me, the Cody fans, I'm like, man, this is too much. I can't even support this. Stop it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like, it's almost like corny in a way. Like, but cringe was the perfect adjective. When you said cringe, I was like, man, I didn't think about that. Because in some ways, as much as like I joke about Cody and I'm critical of him, that's kind of part of the reason for me, right?
Yeah.
Even now, like, truthfully, part of the reason is I'm like, yes, I respect him. He's so talented, but there is a level of like,
I don't think you're the only one either. It's the John Cena effect, isn't it? It's why people are divisive over John Cena, and it'll be the same with Cody. But if they actually run that in a storyline, it will be interesting to see the way that people go.
Especially, like, we always talk about the best wrestling has an element of realism. That is,
it is right tapping there into. You're gonna have a lot of some fans are gonna be like, "Oh, you're a sheep. You're just following Cody. You believe everything he says," and it's an interesting thing to be tapping into right now. Let's just say that.
It really is. I also had a thought, by the way, on the Cody not wearing the suit last night. I mean, what if we have like next week a little segment where you find out Kevin Owens or somebody, he had it dry cleaned at the hotel and they stole it before it got delivered, and that's why he didn't have it. Because the little thing's getting under his skin. It's another opportunity for him to be annoyed. Like,
it was a cool tracksuit though. Just wear that every now and again.
It was a cool tracksuit.
It was a cool tracksuit.
Wait, so a quick question: did y'all think the one breast out, was that deliberate? Like, you think, or he just couldn't rip the whole shirt
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That was kind of
Very
weird.
good question. I didn't.
And even backstage with Carmelo, he didn't even take the shirt off. He just like threw the jacket back on.
Yeah, he just put the jacket back on.
The one torn.
Yeah, the pack.
It was,
I wonder if like they tried to gimmick it to rip it and just didn't get it enough. I don't know, right? Like, that is a really good question. I didn't think about that. I'm not sure. That's funny. You want to think that it's intentional, but I honestly don't know. Now that I'm kind of baffled. Okay, let's move on to, speaking of baffling things. We saw an ambulance backstage. We saw a lot of friends hanging out. One of which gets in the ambulance and rides to the hospital with Jade Cargill, and that's Bianca Belair. Who took out Bianca Belair? I don't think it was Rikishi, who did it for The Rock, as we remember from the 90s. Not this time. It was somebody on the
who shot Mr. Burns in it.
This is another one. My instinct last night told me, like, who did it is who's in the ambulance, but I don't know, because the timing doesn't make sense, because she was wrestling. right?
Mm-hmm.
When the attack presumably happened. So I don't know if it was Bianca or not. Maybe we'll see. This is going to be a classic grainy backstage footage, I'm assuming, right? Classic Shawn Michaels Triple H Rikishi when he did it for The Rock on Austin and all of that.
Yeah,
I'm hoping we
Carmelo
get
and
some,
Trick.
Yep, Carmelo and Trick. I'm hoping we get some grainy footage. But who is your guess, Megan? Who took out Jade Cargill?
Well, I know a lot of people thought it could be Bianca. Again, listen, I like heel turns. I like it when it's calculated. I like when it makes sense. I like a story behind it. Um, would it make sense right now for Bianca to take out Jade? I don't know because now, she's still her current tag team partner. They still hold the titles. She was a part of War Games. Is Jade going to still be a part of War Games? Who is going to take her place with the match next week? Now she won't have an opportunity at the new United States title. Um, would it make sense for Bianca to attack her? I don't know. I don't know. Um, some people think it's Bailey. Now, Bailey is a face. Would she take out Jade to be in the War Games match? That's another idea. But again, I don't know if that I mean it could make sense. I don't know. But my theory, I think it would be a little too easy to believe that it was Liv or Raquel or Naya or even Tiffany because, like those would be the number one suspects anyway, seeing as how Liv and Raquel attacked Jade and Bianca last week. So they would be the number one suspects. I do think it's somebody that is least expected. And the way these stories have played out with people getting attacked is always the people closest to them. Now, there's a possibility that Bianca, hey Jade, and pushed her, on the car and then went and got ready for her match. Like, it's a possibility that no one discovered Jade until that point in Bianca's match. But either way, she still got up. She ran out. She saw Bailey, told Bailey, mind her business. This has nothing to do with her, and hopped into the ambulance with Jade. Um, but I do like the fact that it played out to the point where Chelsea ended up winning. Shout out to Blair Davenport because she was handing the girls their behinds last night. I mean, she's in the ring with two women who are Hall of Famers in the future. But she was really putting a hurting on them. So I have to give her credit for that. But I am glad that my girl Chelsea did win the match. And now she moves on to potentially winning the title, being the first woman to have the United States women's title. So I'm happy about that. But when it comes down to Jade and all the things that has been going on with the dirt sheet rumors with Coachman and the feud between Bianca and Jade, and then with Liv telling Jade to watch her back around Bianca, I think it's all the fingers are all pointing to Bianca Belair. So that is who I'm going with.
It's funny.
It's crazy.
The EST.
I think Bianca is like the one you would most medium expect because of that. And that's why that's who it's going to be. It's not who you least expect. It's not who you most expect. It's like
I've just thought of something as well.
You can also.
I just thought of something that didn't necessarily make any sense at all when he said it. But later on, Dawkins was talking about snakes in the grass, and you don't know who to trust. And obviously with Tez and Bianca, and at the time, and I was like, who are you talking about? No one's betraying anyone. Gargano's not betraying Ciampa. You're not betraying Tez. Motor City Machine Guns are together. They're fine. Like, who are you talking about? But maybe that's what he was talking about. I'm not suggesting that Dawkins body checked Jade Cargill onto the car, by the way. I'm just suggesting that he might know something about it.
Like he might see a difference. I mean, this is a man that traveled with both Bianca and Montez a lot, so he could.
They were both
possibly
wearing black
see-
as well. That's a
Yeah.
that's a dead
He could see a
giveaway.
difference.
Yeah.
He could definitely see a difference in their behavior.
I
For
thought
sure.
of a couple of possibilities as well that I've not seen many people mention. Is Piper Niven could be it could be a master player from Chelsea, and then
Okay.
2866 over on Instagram suggested Piper Niven, so I got to
yeah, and then what could happen with them two is that Chelsea doesn't actually return the favor or messes it up, and then it turns out she's like, I took out Jade for you, and they're in an argument, and then it's like, and you could have the first feud with Chelsea and Piper. I don't know, or Asuka. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just someone from Damage Control, really. Dakota Kai had a video package saying, "I'm gonna take what's mine. I'm gonna put people on notice." There's so many that it could be.
But now I'm thinking, like I saw in the comments someone said Charlotte Flair. Now, would we want Charlotte Flair to return at Survivor Series, or would it be more suited for her to return at the Rumble?
I'm not sure, but I will give Sean Ellis credit. He suggested Charlotte Flair here
Yeah.
as a possibility. We got Chris Leclerc suggested Lash Legend.
Yeah. Great shout.
It's interesting. There's a lot of suspects. Chris Leclerc also
Could be
added,
Naomi.
Bailey, or it wasn't Bailey. He doesn't think. And then DCX Warlord said that he wants Shotzi to replace Jade in the Women's United States Championship.
Come on, think of it as well. Naomi would make sense. Naomi, because Jade and Bianca have got the tag champions in, they were all at Mania together. Why did Naomi all of a sudden just get shrugged off?
Right.
And that could be a possibility. So many. It's like who shot Mr. Burns?
I like the theory that you said with Montez and Bianca.
I really like that too.
Yeah.
That was some of the best dot connecting I've ever seen too, because I didn't catch that, and I had the same exact reaction to Dawkins saying the snakes in the grass line, because anytime someone says snakes in the grass, I think Conor McGregor from Ultimate Fighter when he said it about TJ Dillashaw and Uriah Faber, right? You're a snake in the grass, right? So I'm gonna catch it if someone says that line, right? But I did not put that together. I really, really actually like that. And then DCX Warlord added, Clark, remember when Dakota Kai took out Mia Yim before NXT War Games? I think Bianca did it, and it wasn't Naomi. That's possible too.
I just don't know if I can see heel. I don't know if I can see heel Bianca. Shad, don't register that comment.
Here's my favorite part. Shad has the wrench today. Just Toby.
It made me so happy when you referred to Chelsea as a future Hall of Famer before, by the way, Megan.
I want to know how Shad got the wrench.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Oh, wait, we have a comment up here that I did want to address. I feel bad I didn't already. Sorry, Sean Ellis. But he asked if WWE Network is closing, is WWE going to have pay-per-views on Netflix too? Do you guys have an answer to this question? Yes, we do. So if you're in the US, it's going to still be on Peacock for the time being, but eventually I do believe it will be Netflix everywhere. And then internationally, yes, all the pay-per-views that you would have seen on the network, you'll see on Netflix. So we can definitely confirm that one. That one's going to be easy.
PLEs actually.
PLEs. Sorry.
No, the comment says PPVs, don't worry.
Well, it isn't a pay-per-view anymore because you don't have to pay for them individually. So I guess I do. Exactly. I didn't really think of that until recently, as much as I've been critical of just having to change and adjust to saying PLE. It's just goofy to me. I've been saying pay-per-view since I was 5, right?
Shad is talking mess about Chelsea right now. We're going to have to boot him out of the chat.
I remember as a kid, though, speaking of PLEs and pay-per-views, when you used to have to call the cable company and then you're just staring at the TV yep, it's on. We got it. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
I hope that's not the case, because I heard what Triple H said. As long as it's in 60 to 70 million households, I'm fine with the buffet. But we're not, sir.
Yeah, we're not. Okay. Yeah, you're sat in Gorilla, Paul.
That is so true.
Yes.
Not the same.
Okay, speaking of PLEs and paying for things, I've got a little deal for everybody here. We know you're a wrestling fan if you're watching this show. So check out Demand Progress Plus. Our friends over at Progress Wrestling have an unbelievable library, matches with some of your favorites. You can see how they got their starts, how a lot of them turned into the superstars that they are today. Also, the current product is off the charts, one of the best things going. Every chapter, it gets better and better. Use this code. We're going to help you out. Use the code WatchProgress1. You're going to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus. That's the home of Progress Defy and more other promotions too. Got all kinds of good stuff on there. Check it out. I'll give you the code one more time. That's WatchProgress1. You're going to get 50% off your first month. Okay, let's move on to our next one here. Let's talk about, speaking of Montez Ford, we kind of previewed him a little bit earlier here. We were just talking about Montez and Dawkins, but he beats Tommaso Ciampa, Tom Ciampa, as I like to call him. This was an interesting match. Jordy, I got to get your thoughts on it. We've been talking about Montez singles run for a long, long time. Here's a singles win over a big star here. I still never want to see the Street Profits break up. It's kind of like the New Day to me almost, or there's a couple other groups like that where I'm like, I do not mind singles runs, but I do not want to see I don't want to see what happened to Heavy Machinery. I don't want to see a feud between Dawkins and Ford. I don't mind them going separate ways, but I don't need to see them wrestle each other. That doesn't make enough sense to me. And I just am afraid Dawkins, he's done so much to sort of bridge the gap. Obviously, Ford is such a sublime physical talent. He's done so much to bridge the gap as a wrestler himself, get left behind because they want to break up the Street Profits just to push Montez. You can push Tez as a singles guy and not have the group breakup, I think. What are your thoughts on that? And what were your thoughts on the match last night, Jordy?
The match was good. Yeah. I think, I don't know about how it was for you guys. For me, it got broken up by an ad break. So it just felt a little bit short. I'm sure if I saw in full length, it would have been better. But it was a nice teaser of what these guys can do together in the ring. I would like to see him run it back somewhere down the line. I do rate Tommaso Ciampa, in all honesty. I think he worked better as a heel. I guess I could. Interested's a bit of a strong word for what's going on with DIY. I mean, I'm intrigued, I guess, to see what is going on there. But I agree in terms. Tez is ready for a singles run. Tez has been ready for a singles run, I think, for a couple of years. If you ask me personally, I think things have happened and sort of people have returned that maybe we didn't see returning, and I don't know. It just didn't fall right for Tez. But I think, I don't know how long you've got to give him that singles run. So I think now is better than never. And just let him go and show what he can do, because I agree, he's a physical specimen. He's a talent in the ring. His in-ring ability is second to none, but he's got charisma as well. He's got star quality, something that almost can't be taught. He's got a presence about him when he's in the ring. I think he's very likable. And yeah, I wouldn't say the drop in the ball with him, because the Street Profits have been successful. But I don't know how good of a singles run he can have while still being in the Street Profits. Unless it's like just a distant friend thing, and I don't know. And at that point, are they even still together? They just never broke up, but they never wrestled together. So like, I don't know. I might disagree with you. I think it's a gutting thing. I think Dawkins he'll take the hit. There's no doubt in my mind that if they do split them up, there's one that they're going to throw put on a rocket and send to the moon, and one that's going to be part of a decent feud until it's done. And then what would be then next for Dawkins is what scares me, because I do like him, but for the sake of Montez and how good he is, if that's the option, if that's the only way, I would say it's worth it, and let's let the shackles off Tez and let him show us what he can do.
That is totally fair. The only other way, and it's kind of a cop-out that I thought of, would be you do it in the draft. The way you do it with the Dudleys. Yeah. You do it in the draft. You just have them go to separate brands, and then you can just avoid the rivalry. Then you can have the reuniting later.
Sometimes it's an injury. Sometimes it's like a real injury. It's one of them good thing out of a bad situation kind of things. Sometimes it does happen like that. It happened with Jey Uso for crying out loud, didn't it?
Very true. By the way, I always go back to this though. It happened with Jey. Oddly, after it, like as a preview happened, you remember the three-way ladder match at Mania 36, the pandemic Mania, the COVID Mania, right? The one at the Performance Center. It's the only time I've ever seen a singles match for the tag titles, or a triple threat singles match for the tag titles, because it was Jey who was hurt. Jimmy wrestled. as the solo guy and won the belts there. And it is interesting that like then not that long after it sort of flipped. Right? Like that's something I didn't think of. The only thing to your point about Montez and the singles run thing, I was having a conversation with some friends the other day about randomly came up, who do you think the best all-around athlete in the WWE is? A lot of names got thrown out. There's a lot of great athletes, right, in the WWE in general. But someone said Montez, and I looked around and I was like, honestly, if they did like a decathlon, he might actually it might be Montez. Might
or
be
Gable.
Maybe, but like, it's interesting just how sublime athletically he is, right? Like you can just see when Michael Cole does the From the Heavens, nobody gets higher on a frog splash. Like someday he's gonna scrape his back on the jumbotron. Like it's ridiculous. The guy, he doesn't elevate, he levitates. He's like stays in the air longer than normal people are.
He's got hang time. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's one of those things like you just don't see that often. It's unique. You know what I mean? Like that level of pure athleticism. Because, and I love frog splashes in general. It's one of my favorite high risk moves. But I think about like, you know, Eddie's was pretty like flowing. It was like the tight frog, and then like beautiful, but right, like impactful, like not all about height. You know, RVD kind of with the 5-star looked like a little bit of like a car crash, right? It was like he's almost like too big to be doing a frog splash. He bounces off the guy, it hurts his own stomach every time. Montez floats. It's an entirely different deal.
Montez definitely gets higher than Rob Van Dam.
Gets way higher. I love RVD. Love me some RVD. But we can argue that one for days. Montez gets the highest when it comes to that one, I would say for sure. Let's talk about not one big return, but a big return and a big announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the wise man is back, and he brought an old friend with him. Mr. Chicago made Punk, CM Punk, Phillip Brooks, joining the Bloodline for maybe one time, I'm assuming. I don't think he's like a permanent member. Two of my favorite things about this segment. Number one, Paul Heyman and his delivery on the microphone, the pauses. He is the best I've ever seen at that. He can just make the moment like hang there for a second in a way that other performers don't take advantage of. The way he just like kind of makes you sit in it for a second and you can hear the crowd and all that. He is a freaking expert at that. It blows me away every time I see him. Secondly, it's just something interesting when it came to Punk in the entrance. I thought it was so cool how he was taping his right hand as he came out. I want him to do that every time. Not for matches, right? They should already be taped for matches, but it was just a cool aesthetic. You don't see it often, the way he did the tape and everything.
The production of it was great. Like the way that it kind of cool. It came past Paul onto nothing, and then it zoomed in as Punk was coming out, and as soon as Punk started walking, we started going back, and it was like it was so cool the way that he was just walking, strapping up his hand. I completely agree. It's like I can still see it. It's like it's imprinted in my brain.
It was just a cool image it added to the segment. It was great. I love this DCX Warlord with the stat of the day. CM Punk is the 5th member of the OG Bloodline.
We need to employ this guy.
It's our stat of the day. I love that. Okay. Megan, I have to ask you about it, though. We get the Heyman return. We get Punk. Where does this leave Rollins in the equation? Obviously, we heard earlier in the show, Roman shooting down the idea of Seth and Cody. We end up with Punk. Punk and Rollins don't get along historically. We're returning to Survivor Series, the site of Punk's original return. Is Rollins going to stick his nose in this business at some point? That was my first instinct coming out of the show. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? But of course, the wise man being back as well.
I think so. I mean, think about it. It's coming up to a year that CM Punk has returned to WWE. And we saw the reaction that Seth had when he saw CM Punk. So a whole year later, a match that he was asked to be a part of and he turned down. And now his mortal enemy is now in the match. Well, 2 of them. I think Steph is going to get involved. He has a hatred for CM Punk. He has a hatred for Bronson Reed, and he can't even get vengeance back on Bronson Reed. Like he got attacked by the bloodline this past Monday. And he didn't even get a chance to change his mind to be a part of the match because Paul Heyman took it upon himself to get one of his children to be a part of the match. So I thought it was kind of funny that, you know, Paul has his two out of three of his boys working together. Now, I think you couldn't you would have got a bigger pop if it was Brock Lesnar, but um, like Brock still wrapped up in some stuff. So
Yeah,
It would have been
and
it would have been a
wasn't-
shocked pop, that wouldn't it? It
I
would have been
will
like
say
a,
this,
oh
though.
my
Brock-
god, really? Like,
Brock wouldn't
Yeah.
have made sense to me though. Like this is my people suggested Brock earlier in the week too when we were having this discussion, like who's going to be the fifth. It's possible, like Heyman. It came up earlier on the daily, and my only thought was, how could you possibly convince me that a team with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns is going to lose at anything? Like they wouldn't, and that to me
could be
took
them
Brock
two.
out of the equation, right? Like it's just not, even if Brock was a choice at this stage for returning it, like Punk at least I can still wrap my head around with Bronson Reed and what's going on with the new bloodline. They can beat the originals, and that to me, I think is why you got to go with Punk here, right?
right.
Because even Rollins is a bit of a like really the old Shield. 2/3 of the old Shield's going to reunite, and they're going to lose. I don't see that either, right? Like
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think, well, look, I didn't think that Roman and them was going to lose at the last PLE, but here we are, and Solo is the one that actually got the pin. So if there is a chance, if there's a chance in hell that the original bloodline loses once again, it will be because somebody interfered. And right now, if it's Seth, he has enemies on both sides of the team. He hates CM Punk. He calls him an opportunity at the title. He hates Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed been whooping his tail from arena to arena. And on top of that, he hates Roman even more. So it just would not make sense for him not to find a way to be a part of this match.
insert himself into the equation somehow
He
makes a
has
lot
to.
of sense. I agree 100%. Jordy, got to get your thoughts on it too. Do you have any way maybe that Seth does? You have an idea for how Seth does, or do you think maybe not? They're just going to run this 5-on-5, and we'll figure out what happens with Seth later. I'm not 100% sure myself.
I mean, an easy way for Seth to take out Punk in a secret, it's so people don't know it's you, in a similar way that Jade Cargill got taken out, so then Punk can't compete, and it's like, oh no, you have to use Seth now. But I don't know. Look, we have to take every storyline that they've woven so far. We have to take it with a pinch of salt, because I see people online. This makes sense, or this doesn't make sense, or it doesn't make sense for them to have them. What makes sense was 4 versus 4. Once you go away from 4 versus 4, we're stretching. Whatever we're trying to weave into this storyline at that point, we're stretching a little bit. So you just have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt. But Bronson Reed works for me, and I think it's a bigger picture. I really do think it's a bigger picture. I don't know if Paul Heyman's intentions are good. He was literally wearing Solo's outfit, man. And I don't even know if his allegiance is with Solo. I think this is where people are maybe thinking, oh yeah, Paul's working for Solo. I think Paul's working for Paul, maybe working for The Rock. But I think Punk knows. I think Punk might end up turning on him. I can imagine a conversation where Paul's gone, Punk, I need you to come and help with the bloodline for me. And he's gone, no chance, no way am I helping Roman Reigns. And he's gone, no, I need you to pretend you're going to help them, but on the night we're going to turn on them. And he's like, okay, yeah, you got me, Paul. I'll help you out. I don't know. I don't know whether putting Paul in the outfit last night was just to stir things up and get our minds reeling and thinking, what if Paul is going to turn? Because at the end of the day, I was thinking, why would Paul turn? But it is true. It is true. He got taken out because Roman was away, feeling sorry for himself because he got beat by Cody. So there is cause, you know. It really is difficult, this one. I don't know how this match is going to go. I think Roman's going to lose, though, sadly.
It's something that Jordy said that kind of rung a bell in my head. And during that time when Paul was in the mix of Solo, he was going around trying to find help.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find help. He went to Jay. He went, couldn't reach Roman. He went to people asking for help. And there was only one person that was willing to put his body on the line for Paul, and that was CM Punk. So I could see Paul turning on Roman because when he needed him the most, Roman was not there.
And Punk was. You're absolutely right. Because he said there was that amazing little segment when he was like, yeah, I just want you to take me with you. That's all. Because we all thought he was going to ask Punk to do something. And he was like, I just want you to take me with you and get me away from this lot.
I could see it playing out that way.
And that would annoy Punk as well, to a point where he would happily betray all of the bloodline, be the bad guy. Yeah. Because what if him and Heyman want to go on this heel run together as well? Now that it would be good. It would be good. A long time ago in an interview as well, sorry, I'll just say this, Clark. Punk said it was very ever so slight, right? And somebody was like, I absolutely love the babyface work that you've been doing since you returned to WWE. And he went, wait till you see what's next. And then the interview just moved on. And it was just like
an interesting scenario, though, that I thought about Jordy too. And you can kind of accomplish the same thing, but this is how you reinsert Seth. Maybe you have Bronson sort of take out Punk, and it's up in the air on whether Punk can actually be the fifth for Paul. So now Paul is really stressed because he's put Punk in a bad situation. He's worried about Punk. He's worried about Roman, who, as previously mentioned, wasn't there and everything. You have all this Seth stuff up in the air. Maybe you get Seth as the surprise fifth. Shield gear, as I suggested earlier in the week. And Punk's the one that sabotages it. And now all of a sudden, Paul Heyman's stuck in the middle of everything. He's in trouble with everyone, and you're not even sure which side he's on. And then maybe this is where you get to the working with The Rock idea, as we mentioned earlier, as a possibility, right? I don't know. This could go a lot of different ways. And that's one thing I got to give the Bloodline story credit for. Like you mentioned earlier, some of it you have to take with a pinch of salt, but they have done a good job of getting us to a spot where we still aren't 100% sure.
That's Paul Heyman for me. It's his presence, his face, his mannerisms, how he acts. I never know whose side he's on. I was pretty confident he was on Roman's side for that whole Bloodline run for about a year or so, but when he has that certain look in his eye, I'm just like, Paul, are you up to something?
Yeah, he saw CM Punk and got them old feelings again. But I think his loyalty to Roman went out the window when Roman was not around. It's like Paul feels like, look, I've done everything for you, and I just needed you, and you weren't there. You weren't there. And I think if there was anything that could possibly get Paul to turn on Roman, it would be to not have him there for him, because Roman always protected him, and he wasn't there.
It's so true. And Heyman is the ultimate, right? Like you mentioned the snake in the grass line from Dawkins earlier. Paul Heyman is at his finest when he's a snake oil salesman. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? He's a carnival barker at the end of the day, and he's the best at it in the business, I think. But that is where that is his honey spot, character wise, is just being an absolute like sleazeball, for lack of a better way to put it, right? Slimy businessman.
Kobe asked a good question.
Yes.
And I think we have gotten a sneak peek of that last night. Just the way that they were sizing each other up.
Did you see what they said, Megan? He said so Roman looked at Punk, looked at Paul and said, he's my wise man. And Punk said, we'll see. And then the camera went, it was literally like that. And then it went off air. It was so good.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he said he's my wise man, and then it panned to seeing all three of them. Then it panned to Punk, and he just smiled and said, "We'll see."
So it was so subtle that it's a great call. Yeah, he said, "We'll see," and I mean,
Punk knows how to close out TV as well. It's not subtle from
sure
Punk.
do.
He knows exactly what he's doing, that man.
So dang good at that. I mean, honestly, we could talk about this one for the rest of the day. There's so many different possibilities when it comes to Survivor Series, but we do actually have to get going here. We've got Full Gear to cover and watch tonight. I'm stoked about that. Thank you, everybody that tuned in for today's show. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. We really appreciate it. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. That's, of course, noon Pacific, 3 in the East, 8 o'clock in the UK, and 9 a.m. for my friends over in Hawaii. Have an excellent Saturday. Enjoy the wrestling. We will talk to y'all soon. On behalf of me, Clark, Megan, and Jordy, have a great day. Thanks so much.